Hi everyone, my name is Amanda. Welcome to My Life, My Way. I want to touch base just a little bit today about my fertility journey so far and where we're going from here. For those of you that don't know me, I got married in August of 2014, and then my husband and I started officially trying for our first baby in May of 2015. That's when we came off birth control. So the first couple months, we kind of just let it roll naturally. We didn't see any results, so I took OPKs 1 month just to make sure I was ovulating. I'm 32. I was taking birth control since I was 16, so just to kind of make sure everything still works the way it's supposed to. I saw a positive on an OPK, so I just figured, well, that's enough. Okay, I am ovulating, so we'll just kind of keep an eye on it, keep an eye on the cycles, and we'll see if we can't time it a little bit. There's a few months where I was out of town or my husband was out of town during our fertile week where we weren't able to baby dance. I mean, it happens. There was a few months where we thought we had symptoms. We were really, really hopeful, and we got a big fat negative when we did a pregnancy test, which is kind of disappointing, but okay, so you move on, not a big deal. We had a couple months where we were able to baby dance, but there wasn't any symptoms, and nobody was really surprised when I got my period. So about 9 months in, though, we started getting a little more frustrated. We're like, okay, maybe something's up. Maybe we should start getting some help. So at about the 9 month mark, we went and saw my GP. I said, hey, look, I'm 32 years old. We're starting to run out of time a little bit. By the time I get in to see a fertility specialist, it'll be quite a while because I know they don't usually give a referral unless you've been trying actively for 1 year. But by the time we got in to see the fertility specialist, it would have been a year long anyways. He agreed with me. Figured, maybe it's about time we start getting stuff looked into. He sent us out a referral for an OBG where we live. He also sent my husband for semen analysis, and then he sent me for some blood work and an abdominal ultrasound. So my husband's semen analysis came back okay. His numbers look great. I did cycle day 3, cycle day 1, or 21 paperwork, and it showed that I wasn't ovulating, or I didn't ovulate that month. Other than that, everything else looked okay. My numbers were all right. My ultrasound looked clear. There was nothing wrong, structurally speaking, with my uterus or the ovaries or anything on those lines. But they did see some evidence of multiple little baby cysts on my ovaries, which they didn't really say much about until I got to see my fertility specialist for the first time. And that's the first time I ever heard the term PCOS is applied to me. I'd heard of it before looking through forms for TTC for trying to conceive stuff, but I'd never heard of it applied to me before. But she pretty much said that that's probably my issue. So PCOS, for those of you who don't know, is polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's characterized by a couple of things. Anovulation, where we don't ovulate, is one of them. Being overweight is another side effect, or having difficulty pulling weight off. I am overweight. I'm not huge, but I am definitely 60 pounds over where I should have been. I'm 235 at 5'11". So I'm definitely heavier set. Irregular cycles is another one. Most of the time I'm within a day or two of a 5-week cycle, but I have the occasional one of 4 weeks, the occasional one of 8 weeks. So that's kind of in there. And then my ultrasound also showed the tiny little baby cyst that's really common with PCOS. So that kind of confirmed the diagnosis for her. She sent me for repeat lab work for day 3, day 21. She sent my husband back to get another semen analysis done, but this time not for the numbers, but for the antibodies. He made an appointment, but because it takes a lot longer to get in for that type of test, he actually does it 2 weeks from now, which should be the last and final test we have to do before we're able to move on to the next step. So a few months back when she sent me for the repeat blood labs, it actually came back that I did ovulate by day 21, which is awesome. So it does mean that I'm not ovulating every cycle, but I am ovulating once in a while, which is a great start. This last month, she also sent me for an HSG test, which, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure means hysterosonography, which basically means they're taking a picture of your fallopian tubes. So what they do is they put you on basically an x-ray table, and they're doing something called a live x-ray. So rather than your traditional x-ray where you go in, you angle once, right? You do your pose, they take the picture, you're good to go. With a live x-ray, they're actually consistently watching, and they take pictures as they need to. So they lay you on the table, sort of the same splayed open position you get for your average pap smear. They use iodine on the speculum and on your cervix just because there's an increased risk of infection with this one versus your average pap smear just because they're going into your cervix, not just scraping the lining off. And then they take this tube. It's only about this big, give or take a little bit. It's really tiny. I guess it's probably specific to how big your screen is, but it wasn't very big. It was just very long. Like, it was 24 inches. Maybe at the smallest, it was probably 18 inches. And I remember looking at the stick going, where are you going to put that? Ooh, because I'm not that long. I don't know what you want to do with that. I mean, realistically speaking, they only put it in about this far. I think it's just that they can kind of have two hands on it and just be a little more accurate with this stick. But it was a little intimidating there that first second. Anyways, they turn on the live x-ray. They actually let me watch, which was really cool. I'm an EMT, so I'm a little nerdy when it comes to medical stuff, and being able to watch my own pelvic cavity get flooded full of radioactive dye was pretty cool. They take a radioactive dye, like I said, in just a syringe, and they put it through the stick. The stick goes up past your cervix and into your uterus. They have you cough, apparently, just to get it to your cervix to kind of open and bounce a little bit. It didn't hurt too much for the stick going in. It was a little crampy, a little painful, but tolerable. And then they got ready and they started pushing this radioactive dye into my uterus. It's supposed to go up from the uterus into your fallopian tubes, and basically it's supposed to let them know whether or not your fallopian tubes are open. Because things like DNCs, miscarriages, fallopian tube pregnancies, people who have some medical conditions and things like that can have their fallopian tubes get blocked off, which means that getting pregnant naturally is probably not going to happen for them, especially if both tubes are blocked. There's no way for that egg to get into the uterus to even possibly think about getting fertilized and getting positioned where it should be. So the actual flooding of the radiation dye is probably the most amount of pain I've been in a while. That was new. I almost came right off the table. It was pretty horrifically uncomfortable. It felt like really nasty cramps. It was pretty horrendous, but it only lasts for about a minute, and then it's done, and you can breathe. And the pain was kind of offset by, again, the nerdiness of me actually getting to watch and see the pictures of my own fallopian tubes filled full of this radioactive dye, which was kind of cool. So they brought in the radiologist. He actually checked it while I was sitting there, which was kind of neat. Radiologists, generally speaking, see the pictures afterwards. They don't usually show up in the rooms. But they just wanted to double check and see if we needed a second picture. Thank God they only had to do that once. I'm not sure I could live through it twice. But they just stood there with this stick sitting in my uterus while he checked out the pictures, which was a little strange. But he gave me the all clear that both tubes are open, so that's awesome. So at least with all the pain came some really great news. I've heard of some women talking about how after an HSG test done, they get more fertile, or you have a more fertile opportunity. Apparently, it kind of like cleans everything out. So lots of women get pregnant usually within the first 3 months of the HSG test. So that was last month. After that, my husband and I were actually able to baby dance a couple more times. We thought we might have been pregnant last month before we start fertility drugs, and I was really excited. And then last week we got our big fat negative, and my flow showed up. So that kind of sucks. So we're on to cycle 14. He should be done his last test. I think that's all the testing that the doc wants from us now. Our next appointment is the week after my husband does his semen analysis, so that'll be exciting. It should be right before I start my cycle 15, so hopefully we'll be able to start fertility medications for cycle 15, which will be great. When I was talking to the doctor, she said her first sort of line of medication she wants to try with us is Femara for probably 3 or 4 months with IUI. So Femara is a ovulation inducer. It's very similar to Clomid, except it doesn't have a lot of the same side effects that Clomid has, and it's starting to become the go-to, especially in women like me that have PCOS. IUI, for anybody that's not familiar, is intrauterine inception, which means they're going to take my husband's sperm, throw it through a washing machine to pull out all of the bad sperm, anything that your body would normally wear out, right? We kind of make them take a run for it, and our body naturally gets rid of the sperm that don't have very good quality. So because we're going to inject it directly into the uterus with IUI, they sort of throw it through a washing machine, get rid of the bad stuff, they take another stick, probably very similar to what I just saw with the HSG test. I haven't done it yet, so this could be exciting, and I'll let you guys know what actually happens and my own personal experiences with it. But from what I understand, they take it, they pop it through your cervix again, they inject the now cleaned out, concentrated sperm into your uterus directly, so it sort of gets rid of half of that run that they usually need to do. And then they're supposed to meet up with your egg naturally. So in combination with this ovulation inducer and then this IUI, hopefully we'll get pregnant in the first couple of rounds. It's significantly less expensive than IVF, so hopefully this kind of works for us and we don't need to kind of move up the line in the way things are having to be done. So please keep us in your thoughts. I'll keep you guys updated and keep you posted about how our sort of next round goes. I'm still kind of hoping against hope that month number 14 will be ours before we have to go through ovulation-inducing medications and things like that. So for this month, I picked up OPKs again, and I'm going to try, now that we're on month 14, just to kind of track my ovulation a little bit. Today, I actually tried for the first time to check cervical position, which is different and a little adventurous. I just read a couple of websites about it, made sure my hands were really clean. It's going to take probably a few cycles before that even makes sense to me, so I'm not really going to give you my insight on it because I really don't have a lot. Most people say that they have to try for at least 1 or 2 cycles before they become really comfortable with cervical position as sort of an indicator of whether or not you're ovulating. So that's what we're going to try this month, and hoping against hope that we can get pregnant with month number 14 without having to pump me full of medications. And if that doesn't work, then I guess we're on to cycle number 15. All right, well, I will touch you guys later. If you have any comments, questions, things you'd like to see, things you'd like to know, do me a favor, leave me some comments back there. If this is a journey you'd like to follow, please subscribe to it. I'd love to have you along for the journey, and hopefully we can go through this journey together. So, yeah, you guys have a wonderful day. I hope that every single one of you gets your BFP very soon, and I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.